Everybody, this is Rob, Auto Repair on Wheels. Well, I'm in my basement. Um, Video quality may not be that great because all the lights are maybe 3 inches above my head. Currently waiting on my updated bumper to dry. So I have some ideas on my mind. I've been getting requests lately for Hyundai Sonata starters, like probably 3 in the past like 2 weeks. And first question I always ask them is it a GDI engine? Here's why. GDI engines, probably the worst thing on the market. One of the worst engineering concepts. I don't exactly know why. I'm not going to get into it, but they burn oil and they just die. They just die. And the first time I dealt with one like that, maybe a couple of years ago, lady's like, yeah, the car won't start. I went over there, played around with it just because it was like 5 miles from me. So I went over there, played with it, and it seemed like it was a starter. So we replaced it, went to turn it back on, and all I did was spin. So the starter worked after that. Before that started, it didn't work. But all it would do was just spin. I'm like, well, what's going on? We played around with it. In result, so they end up having it towed someplace and to do a deeper diagnostic on it to find out that the engine was trash. And she was pretty upset. I mean, I don't blame her. I mean, she was pretty upset. She just put a starter in it and everything, and so all that money was wasted. But like I said, everything pointed towards it, and I hadn't had that experience before. So since then, when people tell me, like I said, it's been quite a few of them very recently, and the first thing I asked them is it a GDI engine? One person said, yes, it's a GDI engine. I was like, all right, well, I would actually have it, because this one is like about 30 miles from me. So listen, first I would actually have it properly diagnosed first. Make sure it's not the engine itself. They're like, well, I did have it diagnosed, and they said it was a starter. I was like, it's up to you. All right. And then after that, I said, what type of starter did you get? And they're like, something off of online. And they told me the brand name. And I was like, well, I'll tell you, because of the type that this is, I strongly advise you to actually get a premium quality one. I was like, the kind that you got is like a lower mid-grade one. So it's up to you. I'll install it, but like, okay, hold on. I think I'm going to return it. And I told him, for vehicles like this, when you get parts, get them from Napa. Napa is basically the best aftermarket type. And generally speaking, there's plenty of auto parts stores. Like there's Advance and Auto. Well, I got to be careful, like who I say, but all the regular chain stores, Napa is overall the best quality. So they usually charge more, but especially with how the market manufacturing standards are now, you want to get the better stuff. Okay, now I'll say, especially if you're in New England. If you're in New England or relatively in the Northeast, where the climate is constantly changing, and we got really bad roads. We have like trashy, terrible roads. You want to get the better quality stuff. So with that said, I'm absolutely not a Hyundai fan. I'm not a Hyundai or a Kia fan. I think the cars are junk. I mean, anything new is always, it'll work great for a little while, but once it hits 100,000 mile mark, they're very, I would say the materials are just very, very bad quality. All right. And I've dealt with more than plenty of them. So that's all I'll say about that. I just sucked down some soda, so now I'm like dealing with some burps. I'm sorry, man. Okay, so recap. If you have a Hyundai with a GDI engine in it, if it is working good now, I say trade it. And I always tell people go Subaru. Yeah, everything breaks down. There's no car that doesn't break down. The difference is, though, Subaru is the easiest to work on. They're always the easiest to work on, no matter what you're doing on it. So don't listen to anyone bashing them. I mean, everything has its pros and cons, but the pros and cons on a Subaru are easier to deal with than most vehicles. I think that's all I'm going to say about it right now. All right, I got to get back to my watching paint dry.